Hi there, welcome to breaking news and the latest coverage within the Noah Presgrove case. Whilst the case community is at an all-time worst for sure, and there's all kinds of chaos going on in the background, one thing that's come to light publicly is one of Noah's family members, Ashley Chadwick, once again, doing some public post on the Justice Run page, calling out to some extent Michael Fazekas, regarding to him as a liar in some way, and on top, kind of calling out one of the original unofficial Noah Presgrove subreddit pages, the one that I was a part of in the past and single-handedly kept alive for a couple of months when things dried out over there. And the moderator or moderators had the cheek to silence me and remove my post from those pages because they saw it deemed as not discussion worthy enough, even though it was about the case and for the case. Whilst this same subreddit group some months ago thought it was really newsworthy posting a photo of Jack Newton and girlfriend Carter Combs exploring the world going on holiday, and that was deemed more important to the case than my videos. Really sets the tone and standards there. Piss poor. But that's what we deal with humans over time. I'm very used to it, and maybe some of you will become used to it as well. But we need to adapt, and we need to look into it more regarding what Ashley Chadwick has to say. And it is also in regard to the rumours and claims along the way, what other people were stating, and some of it was mentioned by people that watch my videos in the live chat or comment section regarding to Noah's family being removed, kicked, blocked, silenced from the Reddit page. How true is it? Well, Ashley Chadwick clears it up, but does give some additional context which wasn't originally acknowledged. And on top, some never seen before screenshot DM conversation between Robyn Smith, supposedly the aunt of Noah, with Michael Fazekas, and her stance on the social hosting laws and the petition about that. Don't go anywhere today. Join me, listen in, share your thoughts, whether that be leaving a comment down below under the video. If you've got any questions, additional thoughts, if you agree or disagree, let me know below. It'll help spread the video out there so more people see it. And for those watching the live premiere, welcome. Share your reactions in the chat box on the right hand side of the screen. If you do want to support this channel, there is a PayPal link down below in the comment section. And if you want to catch up on the latest coverage, and if you've missed out on any previous videos, you'll find it all available, top right corner where the I symbol is there. With that being said, the order of how we'll do it today is we'll look at Ashley's post on the Justice page, the caption, then the screenshots from her point of view, and then the DM with Michael, and then adding on to the comment section where there's additional context, and then finishing off with what Michael Fazekas had to say in response. Kind of going full circle. Granted, at the time of recording this video, some things may transpire after and in between, which may not be picked up in the moment of recording because it wasn't available. But if there is a need for a follow-up, an update, then I can do it in a separate video. But take in mind, this all runs in parallel to the Noah Presgrove case because it's within the community, it's to do with people for the case, and involves Noah's family. And when Noah's family speaks, it's worth listening to. Without further ado, let's begin. As you can see on screen, this is on the Justice for Noah Presgrove page with all the screenshots attachments below, about 14 of them, and we'll get to it bit by bit on the slideshow. I will zoom in just to make it a bit easier for viewing. We read the caption first of all to see what Ashley has had to say in recent time. It's like a day or two ago now. Now, we needed things to simmer just to see any additional responses such as Michael, hence why it's being done now. Ashley said, "Hello everyone, I am coming on here to address some things that were stated on Reddit regarding some attacks that have apparently came about, question mark. As I am unaware of the said attacks or where they came from, I did however inquire about them on Reddit, where things were sharing proof about Noah's family. Unfortunately, the full truth was not brought forward. This will be shared below. Additionally, I did not receive a response either when I inquired about such. Why was there no response? That's kind of unfortunate. That and there. Along with this, Michael Fazekas has claimed various things and has not brought anything forward to support what he is stating. Doesn't sound good. As in claiming Robyn Smith was in his inbox requesting him to change the verbiage of this ridiculous petition. And I'm guessing the petition is to do the social hosting, when in fact, that is not what she said. This will be shared below, as this is one matter brought to light with having to prove that Michael is falsely making these said statements. So now, and maybe it was mentioned before, but the pattern seems to be you've got some of Noah's family members calling out Justin Roy previously, saying he needs to lay off, cool down, but he keeps interfering, and the police have told him to take a step back, and we saw it from the police as well. And yet Justin has refused, gone against the family's wishes, gone against the police wishes. Not a good look, is it? And then we got Michael being called out as well. So, general public being called out by Noah's family says a lot. It's unfortunate, but it's just not a good look, especially if you've got new people coming on in, impressionable viewers seeing it for the very first time. So, to start it off, this is a screenshot from the Reddit page, the subreddit of Noah Presgrove, the original one, which had maybe 6,000 plus members. Excellent Spite, the admin or moderator. There are other, I think, moderators alongside with time. But Excellent Spite says, sharing proof that Noah's family was never banned from this sub. And then below is a screenshot which says, professional feed in Noah Presgrove. There are no bans or unbans for professional feed. It does say pick one of two, but this is the only screenshot I have. Very likely the second screenshot will be of Ashley Chadwick. And the reason why I say that is because Ashley Chadwick does show her point of view on Reddit under her profile name, which would be associated with the photo here on the next slide. As for professional feed, that username belongs to Robyn Smith. It has been confirmed previously. We have done some coverage on my previous videos when professional feed, also known as Robyn Smith, was talking about how tried getting in contact with police, trying to encourage them to speak out, do some kind of public statement, try and get the ball rolling in some areas. It was at conversations like that, maybe the odd reference to what police have told them at some point. Because I know some of it would have been mentioned on Facebook, but other bits were on Reddit in the earlier days. Not as much activity since from Noah's family members, more so on the Reddit page. Hence why some people may have assumed and thought maybe Noah's family members, a part of the Reddit page, were kicked, removed or blocked because they're no longer commenting, no longer posting, so it must mean that they've been removed. But for example here, proof and evidence shows by Excellent Spite that Noah's family were not blocked, were not banned from the page. Okay? So that clears one thing up. But there is some conditional things along the way which weren't exactly cleared up to begin with. There is a caption below the photo as well by Excellent Spite there that these two users, Noah's Aunt Robyn Smith and Noah's cousin Ashley Chadwick, they are the only two family members that I am aware of being members of this subreddit. These screenshots are from my mod log. Mod log is a complete history of every single action that any mod has made since day one. Mods do not have the ability to edit or delete anything on this log. I'm sharing this because people have spread the lie that I banned Noah's family from this subreddit. As you can see from the screenshots, that's not true. The screenshots show that these users have never been banned. So what would the motive be for other people out there in the community to make the false claims that Noah's family has been banned from this Reddit page? Was it as an attempt to tarnish this particular page? An attempt to make the page an Excellent Spite look bad in the case? Because I'll be honest with you, there was no need to spread misinformation or fake news of people being blocked or banned from this Reddit page because this Reddit page has tarnished themselves by the sheer incompetence when it comes to what's allowed and what's not. Oh, by the way, let's block or remove Warlike Ref or silence him at one point. Yes, let's remove his post one by one because it's not discussion worthy enough, even though it's all about the case. But by the way, we'll remove Warlike Ref's post, but we will encourage posting about other bollocks and posting about someone going on holiday and how important that is. And by the way, we'll obsess in the past about Jack and Carter's relationship. Are they breaking up? Are they getting together? Let's spill the tea and have a tea party all around Beauty Gurumo. Really? Really? And then you've got some other people along the way acting out in erratical, over-emotional ways. We had, who was it now? Suzanne Edenfield or so, also known as Boss Babe. They magically turned on me out of nowhere, got all hissy and wordy with me, and then even excellent spite yapping on as well, and it's very unnecessary. But you know what? You want to push a key person away, you do that, and then things start going quiet and slowly die out. It is what it is. You know? I've got my own channel. I'll do my own coverage when I can and when possible. But, you know, the reality is, you talk about the credibility, things being tarnished or made to look bad. They've done it to themselves, shot themselves in the foot, because excellent spite was the one that created a Warlike Ref only category for the Reddit page, a flare which you could attach videos on, and it'll be its own category away from everything else. That was set up. They made the decision and choice, which was good. But on top of that, I stopped posting at one point because I just forgot to. And then Excellent and some other people were like, oh, where are you at, Raf? You're not covering it anymore. You know, are you still around? You know, you should be posting. And I was like, well, I don't know. Oh, I'm not too sure. I don't want to cause any trouble. I don't want to cause any trouble. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And guess what the response was? Oh, no, Warlike Ref. It's okay. You keep on coming. It's much appreciated. It's greatly appreciated. We welcome it. Ah, you lead me into a false sense of security and then later say, how dare you, Ref? Post content here and post links. How very dare you? But by the way, we encourage you to do it in the first place. It's almost as incompetent as two people consenting and you got the cheek afterwards to say, well, actually, that's rape. Get a grip of yourself. What is it with these wretched humans? What is it? Where's the common sense gone? It's embarrassing, and it's just so typical that Warlike Raf sees it all. Exorcist like Raf, best in the fucking business, bringing the worst out of people just by being normal and average. One-on-one situations, on the sideline, people tend to show their true colours. I tend to be on the receiving end of it. And as for other people, well, they live ignorance in bliss. But you know what? The reality does kick on in eventually. And if not that, I just don't forget. And I will constantly make references, points. Because let's not forget, this Reddit page was known for calling me out and had the cheek to say, Warlike Raf, you need to do better when it comes to posting content, which we encouraged you in the first place to do, about that Daily Mail article and Tyler Hardy being interviewed, even though no interview was done, and a mention of gunshots or bullet holes on something, and it's all misinformation. Warlike Raf, and there were several comments as well, saying, Warlike Raf, you need to do better on this Reddit page. You're a very bad person, Raf. Excuse me, bitch, please get a grip of yourself. The timing of when I made that post was actually when it was corrected by Daily Mail eventually. It just so happens that the people yapping on were the ones still supporting or just listening in to the original post by other incompetent, impetuous, ignorant, egocentric individuals that decide to rush on in, jump the gun, make the post on this Reddit page, and it turned out to be misinformation. Oh, it was removed, it was taken down, it was corrected, whatnot. Oh, but then when I came in later with the corrected one, with the correct format, language, and appropriate wording, people still, without even watching, without even bothering to listen to the wording, just assumed that it was the same old misinformation, but it was cleared up by the time I covered it. It's almost as incompetent as Justin Roy and the other wretched humans when it comes to the army page that made false claims about me spreading misinformation and attacking the army page. For what? Because I read out some comments by other people spreading, causing possible misinformation. And what was my response to it when reading it? I don't know if I believe in it because I don't see any hard evidence. Do we have any? Yes or no? I was actually defending the army page, and yet planks and I was going to say one word, I'll be a good boy there. But individuals decided to completely neglect that and completely read over it. These are the humans that I have to deal with on a daily basis. The same mentalities and attitudes regardless of what case I go to. I do not forget. I will not forgive. Once you turn a certain way, game over. Awareness will be spread of these individuals and beyond when needed, necessary, because we don't want to, get the cotton wool out and turn the carpets over and think, oh, it's never happened. Or turn over a new leaf or a new stone, clean slate, bollocks to that. Okay? People from the Dylan Rounds case transitioning into this case, people need to know their place, know their role and who they are and who they were as a history lesson so it doesn't repeat itself and so it can serve to help others when spreading awareness. Okay? And it does run in line with what we're getting at here. Very important in general. Someone called Efficient Net could also be considered efficient, impetuous one, because we follow up with that a bit later. Well, I probably could add it on after this, to be fair, if we don't have the screenshot. Efficient says, well, nothing like providing proof. That shuts down the BS claim 100%. On another note, I wish Noah's brother Dalen and sister Madison Rawlings would be at the forefront for his family instead of these two. They're helping so much, but his immediate family should be the family. His mom, grandma and dad should be included in decisions as the family. Immediate family through troubles and all, since we all experienced them. They should be his voice now, not an aunt and cousin. They could help in the background, but they're on the front line and shouldn't be. So this member of the general public, random individual, is dictating and controlling and suggesting that where people's roles should be at and dictating where the victim's family should be doing things and when and who with. Is this person in any position to be talking? Not really. And, it was Anita on Facebook, on the Justice page, that had a screenshot which showed Madison Rawlings, the sister, Dalen Presgrove, the brother of Noah, actually moderators or admins on the Justice page. So they are at the forefront. They might just be doing more in the background. And with the ages that they are and the lives that they have and the responsibilities, they might be doing other stuff as well. Life doesn't just completely stop just like that for one thing. Other stuff still goes on, as dark as that is. And in addition to all that, referring back to what Efficient says here, it's very vague. If this was applied to Reddit, as in, the brother, the sister, the grandmother, the father, the mother should be active at the forefront as immediate family members on the Reddit page, I would agree with, because only Ashley and Robyn, or were, a part of this Reddit page, only those two. Not the others. But if you're talking in general, and from how this person words their language, you can interpret it as just in general in the case community online, that the family aren't doing enough, supposedly. They're not at the forefront. But secondhand people like Robyn and Ashley are, and that's not good enough. Well, Efficient would be very ignorant to be wording it like that, because it does show that Dalen and Madison are present on the Facebook page. They don't have to be everywhere and anywhere. They can be in their own little space and do the thing, get on with stuff that needs to be done, and more so in the background privately, right? But it seems like the general public may be a little bit entitled at time what should be done and what shouldn't and how things should go about. And is that exactly right? Can cause issues. Besides that, the next screenshot is basically the same thing. Doesn't really show too much. This one, a bit lower down. It's a shame, as Heaven says, that you even have to post and say that you've done no such thing, but you provide visual proof to show your honesty. We know you wouldn't do that. I'm sorry for the lies being told about you. We know you wouldn't do that. Oh, but by the way, we will remove Warlight Raf's post and videos and silence him because it's not discussion worthy enough, even though it's about the case. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, that. Very competent. Accomplished. The way you've been attacked, you should start blocking anyone who attacks you. Well, I got silenced and I wasn't even attacking in the first place. Says a lot. Of course, I'm not blocked, but the videos have been silenced. Silenced is what it is. So I'm called for when you are only here seeking justice for Noah, and whoever doesn't like it can move on and out of here, is the way I say it. And to be honest, if people do need to move on or move away from somewhere, it's not going to be a loss. Just like how certain wretched humans may watch my videos and then decide to make a big public announcement and say, I'm leaving, I'm cancelling my membership. Well, good for you. Piss off. Do what you need to do. Not going to be a loss. Easily replaceable. Simple as. What else do we have? I hate the lies and drama around all of this. You hate drama, you hate lies, you hate this and that, and more so other people will. But there are some people that are constantly stuck in an endless, vicious cycle and are in no position to be talking or complaining. Join me tomorrow, possibly, when I go deeper into that, because we need to get a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more straight talking and quite realistic and sharp. So be on the lookout for that video. In between, let's just focus on this for now. So, you know, some saying, oh, it's good that you got proof and evidence, and others saying you don't really have to prove it, and others say it's good just to clear it up along the way. To clear it up along the way. So what? This was in recent time, 6 days, 7 days ago, of when Ashley, I guess, researched into it and got the screenshots. Why is it only being done now, when months ago the false claims were made? This is what I mean. Oh yeah, it's good to clear up drama and lies and conflicts. Oh, but by the way, we'll do it a few weeks later. We might do it a month or two later. We'll drag it out. Why does it need to be dragged out? If you got the evidence, you got the proof, you can clear it up, you do it as soon as possible. But what people are deciding to do is kind of like a Caden Pressey, Alicia Lee-esque of delaying tactics. Why? You want to better yourself? You want to be better off? Stress-free, make it more healthy, clearer, help other people in learning, get the job done as soon as possible. See, the difference, what separates me from most humans, is as soon as breaking news comes out, and it might correct something from before, it might clear up a mystery which is so big and popular. If it's sent to me, if it's advice to cover and it's all above board, I will do that. Even if it killed a mystery, even if it put it down, it's like, well, it needs to be covered, it needs to be shared to the general public. There's been times, over time, people have reached out to me, never seen before material information, wanting me to deliver it, wanting me to execute it, execute the order, and allow people to finally find out the truths of things. Did I do it? Yes. Did I do it immediately? Absolutely. But other humans don't seem to do that. Because in true crime cases, there appears to be a food chain, higher command of hierarchical structures in which when and when not things can or shouldn't be released. But it's as if it's like a gated community, gatekeeping information. Just release it. If the originals want it released, then follow through with it. But some people decide not to. And others that have the information to begin with, have the whole world in the hand, but decide to just toy around with it, play with it like foreplay. Stop pissing about. Just get on with it. People are stalling. People are delaying. What good does that do? All it does, it just causes additional frustration within other general public members, and then it'll just heat more things up. So you're in a never-ending cycle. And humans don't seem to be able to identify that or break away. Do we have anything else in addition? Well, yes, we've got a person here called Threaded Barrel, and I don't know which one of the two it is because I've heard of the name before and we've covered it in previous videos. Threaded Barrel is either Michael Fazekas or Jan Fiorillo. One or the other. I can't remember who is who, but they're definitely on Reddit. And they say, that's interesting. I had to do a similar thing on the Facebook pages when certain people were claiming I was banning people left and right. Good thing for us admins, we have those logs to prove otherwise. Could possibly be Michael Fazekas that. Cautious says, I don't know why I get the notification. I'm confused. You definitely deserve better. One only wants respect. Okay. Do we have anything else of use? Want respect, gives none. That's not how it works, folks. I don't care who they are. Not sure why these family members refuse to stand up for all who advocate for Noah these ruthless attacks down. Sure wish they would start doing so. Accomplished week. Not sure why these family members refuse to stand up. Oh, you're calling out Noah Presgrove family members. I guess you could say, does Noah Presgrove's family owe you anything? Or owe the page anything? If they do their own thing and keep to themselves? I guess it depends how much they've reached out to the general public for. See, at the end of the day, if you've got a case, you got the victim's friends, the victim's family, they're suffering, they're struggling, but they're getting on with it, putting up with it, and not reaching out for anyone online. In a situation like that, the family, the friends owe people jack shit. But if you do reach out online and you reach out for help in certain platforms and things, like some people would say, don't bite the hand that feeds you or so, supposedly. You got to be careful when and when not. This is Dazzling Deal, which is Ashley Chadwick, from her point of view, who's used this account to communicate online. Pretty clear, crystal clear there. 299 days ago. And what do we actually have here? So, Noah Presgrove, welcome to the community. Joined or so 270 days ago when the screenshot was taken. Noah Presgrove moderators, you are an approved user 254 days ago. 247 days ago, Noah Presgrove mods, you, Ashley Chadwick, part of Noah Presgrove's family, have been muted from the Noah Presgrove page. Temporarily muted. Now, the term muted sounds really bad, but when you look into the definition of it, it's not as bad as you think. It does not mean being blocked, it does not mean being banned. You can still comment and you can still post on the Reddit page. The only thing that you can't do is message or communicate with the moderators on that subreddit. So if you needed any favours, you needed to contest anything or reach out, you can't. So when you need it most and you need help, the moderators technically have turned their backs on you. Now, could it have been done through a mistake, accidentally muting the wrong person? Quite possible. What we've got to take in mind is the full story isn't shared because, whilst granted it's more so focused on the banning, which is different to being muted, Excellence by saying, I've never banned Noah's family members. But on the sideline, there's no acknowledgement whatsoever that Ashley Chadwick was muted, and there is proof and evidence to show it there. Now, I believe when you're muted, it lasts for 28 days. Then after that, it's taken off. So it's not permanent, but still. Is there any context behind why Ashley Chadwick was muted temporarily? Is there any good reasoning behind it, or was it a mistake? If there was a reasoning behind it, sounds a bit dodgy. Why would you do anything to mishandle the victim's family and push them away in some way or create a bit of distaste? You'd like to keep them as close as possible, guilty or innocent, just because then you can learn as you go along and they may be able to assist as well in giving out information and updates. You push them away or treat them incorrectly, it can backfire. So who knows if this was accidental or not, but as for the full context, whilst they've not been banned, at least Ashley was muted. And there's another screenshot of it. You've been temporarily muted for 28 days, and that was 247 days ago. So that would mean now, likely, Ashley has been unmuted. Now, as for this, kind of jumping on into a different point of view, Michael Fazekas, it is supposedly, well, Michael is on the left and supposedly on the right is Robyn Smith, the Noah Presgrove. Now, I think, if I'm correct in saying that the Partisan True Crime interview with Ashley and Robyn, they were kind of talking about how the social hosting, they don't quite agree with it, or they don't condone it, they don't sign it, they don't want anything to do with it. Maybe more so Ashley Chadwick, but Robyn was kind of in line as well from what I can remember. However, This particular conversation does not give a timestamp or date, whether this was posted and talked about, the conversation, before or after that Partners in True Crime final interview on the case. That pre-recorded interview with Jet Newton and Ashley and Robyn tagging along, reacting to it along with Cindy and Rob, if you remember that. If this particular conversation happened afterwards, it might make more sense. If it happened before, may not. Depends how you look at it. So, hopefully you can see it clear enough. Robyn supposedly said to Michael, when you started the petition, the social hosting, it stated to send it back to Jefferson County for charges to be filed. That's the last thing we wanted. Then you updated the language, but it still wasn't sufficient. We want those charges filed. Oh, you want the social hosting laws charges filed? And Robyn says, believe me, we do, but we want maximum penalty. And to charge too early could cause them to go east on her. On her, I'm guessing, is the host, which would be Avery Combs, also known as Avery Howard. And for it to go east and to be done too early probably means more likely a slap on the wrist. So what Robyn is referring to here is, Michael, you need to make adjustments and not to push it just yet. If it's done too early, it could harm the case. It could harm the justice. We do agree, Michael, that the social hosting charges and all that needs to be followed up on and justice needs to be brought there because it links back to Noah's death. However, there's a time and place for it. Now, did Michael Fazekas respect the family's wishes, or did he push on regardless and follow on? Well, some interpret it as Michael neglected it and pushed on, disrespecting the family's wishes, which doesn't sound too good. Now, take in mind the caution of it could go east if it's pushed too early. We want the maximum penalty. Well, when it came to Ashley Chadwick, who was also cautious, she said in her own separate video on TikTok, which was reposted on Facebook, what we've already seen. Ashley said, we don't condone it or we don't agree with it because it could cause double jeopardy. And or it's likely going to lead to Avery's got an attorney or something that when followed through, slap on the wrist, released within the next few hours upon being taken in. So it would do nothing for the case and it just wouldn't help. It would get in the way and harm it and harm the justice, impact it negatively. So if that's what Ashley believed and was cautious and didn't want to harm the case, was being protective, I fully understand that. And Robyn, in a similar way, still wanting justice, still agreeing with Michael, but there's a time and place for it. There's a level of reasoning ability. But did Michael demonstrate that reasoning ability? We'll get to that a bit later because he does respond back in regard to Ashley's post. Michael did say at the time, well, I will update the petition in that case. Do you want me to push it harder with more severe penalties or just hold off on this idea for now? And Robyn says, hold off. And did Michael hold off? Well, as time has passed on, what have we seen since? The Noah Presgrove project, interview with KSW70 News going behind the family's back and wishes, then the family or certain members being outraged, like Ashley Chadwick more so, possibly Robyn on the sideline, getting KSW70 News and a video coverage with Michael Fazekas to be taken down and deleted for good, though another one still remained up to my last knowledge, which is interesting. All done going behind the family's back, disrespecting the family's wishes, supposedly. Does that apply with the social hosting as well and the project online and the additions along the way? You could interpret it like that, but let's at least look at the additional context whilst we're here. So Robyn says, hold off, and Michael says, yeah, I didn't realise the whole debacle was Jefferson County at first. I really understand now. Jeremiah Wilson has messaged me many times and it felt a little off. A little off in a dodgy way? In a corrupt way? What exactly? Okay, so that does say January 6, but that's a part of a new comment thread lower down, so I don't know what the actual date was above it. It doesn't seem to show it, unfortunately. I'm guessing this was at some point in the start of 2025, possibly. I could be wrong. It would make more sense to be in 2024, but besides that, we've got a person here called Melanie MacDonald saying, wow, I wasn't aware that Robyn Smith was so against you. Why? And Michael's response, I honestly don't know. I thought everything was fine between us early on when they approved my post to the petition on the Justice page, the social hosting. Then it seemed like a couple of months later they deleted it and kicked me from the page without saying a word to me. Robyn Smith said to me in a private DM, which I guess are these, that she actually does support social hosting charges. And that seems to be the case. And my petition with some modifications, which I did make. But she expressed she did not want people involved in Noah's death to only be charged with social hosting, as it was not sufficient punishment for what has happened to Noah. I completely agree with her on that. I don't know why they're blasting me and attacking me publicly. I know it's more Ashley than Robyn, but the only person who has ever responded to me has been Robyn, so that's why I addressed her in the post. You don't think sufficient punishment for what's happened to Noah. But more importantly, Robyn was going on about we want the maximum penalty, and to charge too early could cause it to go wrong. So the main problem with what could impact the maximum penalty is more so when the trigger is pulled. So with Michael Fazekas pulling the trigger early and people signing the petition, it could harm the case. And Robyn doesn't want that. There's a time and place for the petition. Michael Fazekas, how he words it here, is more so to do with speaking on behalf of Robyn, that she did not want people involved in Noah's death to only be charged with social hosting, as it was not sufficient punishment for what's happened. Not a sufficient punishment. No, more specifically, it's to do with the timing of the social hosting. Okay? But the timing of the social hosting law or the petition can determine possibly the penalty and the severity of it. They want the max. But if you do it too early, you're not going to get the max. So it all comes down to yourself of when you post it, when you follow through with it, and when people sign it. So Michael has re-quoted or spoken on behalf of Robyn in the incorrect way there, technically speaking, which isn't good, to be honest. So, what else do we have? I completely agree with her on that, and I don't know why they're blasting me. Right, Maybe because it's been misunderstood. Besides that, returning back to the Noah Presgrove subreddit, besides what's been said there, and the likes of Michael Fazekas, I think, called Threaded Barrel, and if not, it would be Jan Fiorillo, one or the other, I'm not too sure about, but it's definitely one or the other. Dazzling Deal, also known as Ashley Chadwick, a day ago, 2 or 3 days ago now, said, "Hi, this is interesting. I would like to ask what prompted this. Were there things being stated that proof was needed to be provided? It's always been clear that I'm not in these other Facebook groups, so I'm unaware of these attacks." And the attacks follows example the supposed false claims of Noah's family being blocked or removed from the Reddit page, and the proof and evidence shows they've not been blocked, they've not been removed, but for the full context, Ashley Chadwick was muted by moderators at one point. Reasons unknown, and Ashley said no one responded to her comment. So, no comment, silence, does that equal suspicion? Who knows? Besides that, on the comment section area of the post by Ashley Chadwick on the Justice page, Pam Feldman Garrison says, "So if I'm understanding this correctly, Ashley, number one, you and Robyn were both banned or muted on Reddit. You tried to get the admin Jen to explain and she never followed up with you. 2, Robyn specifically requested Michael Fazekas hold off on his petition, and instead he has pushed it harder and created a campaign around it, the Noah Presgrove project. Number 3, so can this post finally serve as notice that the family of Noah Presgrove would like Michael Fazekas to stop his campaign of pushing his petition? 4, Can you confirm that the family has a plan to move forward and has all angles covered, and Michael Fazekas and his actions have been causing the family intentional setbacks and delayed progress of the family's endeavours? I've got a few things we can refer to Pam shortly. In response to the questions, Ashley Chadwick says, I was muted on Reddit. She stated, per her post, of the proof she provided was the mod logs. These logs are a complete history of every single action that any mod has done since day one. Robyn left Reddit after she and Michael got into a fight? I don't know, verbally. Right. So depending how you look at it, being muted is obviously different to being blocked or removed. You can still comment on the Reddit page, you can still post, but you just can't contact the moderators if there was ever any issues or communication needed. And it only lasts for 28 days. If the mod logs show every action, then why was it blank? It didn't seem to show anything about being muted. But then again, it might be more so because the mod logs of that was specifically to do with bans or unbanning people. If you were never banned in the first place, you're not going to be unbanned. And if you're not unbanned, you weren't banned to begin with. So the records are going to show it all clear and empty. But if the mod logs was to show who's been muted and who hasn't, well, we didn't get to see that from Jen's perspective, supposedly. So it's not showing the full context, which is very typical, as we know, with humans in the case in general, and more so on Facebook. But besides that, Ashley adds on to the next question saying, yes, Robyn Smith told Michael Fazekas to hold off, and we saw that. Yet Michael did his own thing regardless, seems to be the trend. Well, that's very unfortunate if Michael Fazekas has disrespected the family's wishes. However, is it possible that Michael Fazekas continued on because other Noah Presgrove family members, immediate ones, said to go along with it and to continue? Then that would lead back to a breakdown in communication within Noah Presgrove's family, more so. That needs to be acknowledged. Ashley does say, this serves as support that Michael indeed has lied, as well as we do not support the things he is doing. Ashley may not support what Michael does, Robyn as well, but what does Madison Rawlings, what does Dalen Presgrove, what does Victor Presgrove, what does Deborah Smith and Noah's mother think, though? Because we've not really seen them speak much, right? Just from the horse's mouth, that's what's important. Lastly, Ashley says, we do have things in place with professionals on handling the matter adequately. Michael's efforts were not needed and currently are still not needed nor wanted. To say that you got, in place with professionals, what, in dealing with these people online? Or just with the case? Interesting. And then there's Michael's response. But what we will do just very briefly, just to highlight it as a history lesson, Pam Feldman Garrison may be on the Justice page and might be in Ashley Chadwick's good books, but let's be realistic. Pam Feldman Garrison is the one that bowed down and kind of supported another channel out there that was known for continuous harassment of numerous people in the cases, constantly switching and turning erratically with Caden Pressey, not really knowing where things are at, creating misinformation, misunderstanding many things, creating several community posts of harassment, sexual deviant activity and threats, wanting to do with other people's family members, threatening to reveal people's locations, constantly threatening to sue people left, right and centre, pretending and faking in, oh, I've got no responsibility in that person out there, or that username, or that account, whilst then later associate themselves with that same said person because it's the same person but they disassociated in the first place. You want to surround yourself with people like that? Birds of a feather flock together? What does that say about Pam Feldman Garrison then, who lowers her standards to be with a subhuman like that? What does that say about them? Does Ashley Chadwick know all about that? Does Ashley Chadwick know about that other creator out there that's done some kind of dodgy videos along the way? Deepfake AI technology using people's photos without their consent, creating and staging and faking screenshots of fake super chat donations upon my channel, falsely claiming that Brooke Bounce Carter gave me $999, even though that is not physically or possible whatsoever, because YouTube's maximum donation number is $500. You can't go above that. Faked, and you support people like that. You surround yourself with people like that, and that does not just apply to Pam Feldman Garrison. It applies to many other people in this case, and some people that watch my videos and channel. And furthermore, Pam Feldman Garrison is in no position to be talking professionally speaking or appropriately speaking, because she is the one that called out me for lack of professionalism and not taking the case serious enough and actually making a mockery of the case. And yet she was the one in that screenshot in the background that called Alicia a bitch and was talking all kinds of stuff. Not exactly professional that either, is it? In no position to be talking. Absolute hypocrite. And furthermore, very unusual mindset Pam had by falsely claiming that Warlight Raff was having sexual encounters with an animal, an actual horse. And yet Pam couldn't determine or differentiate between a real horse and a space hopper, which is an inflatable object, kind of like a yoga ball with prongs on, which you just simply sit on and bounce up and down just for the sake of it. A bouncy hopper, a space hopper. It's not that deep. It was light-hearted. It was to break through the mold of the darkness, the negativity. You break through that, you refresh people. When you refresh people, you improve the standards. You improve the hunger, the thirst for the case. You take a step back, you take a break, a breather. It helps people in many different ways, and from darkness going on elsewhere. And someone like Jan Fiorillo alongside Pam, because they go together like Batman and Robyn, in some ways, but they were yapping on about me, making false claims about me, false claims about my channel. More so Jan in regard to making a business or growing myself because of the death of Noah Presgrove and benefiting from it. But at the end of the day, I was already creating videos. I already had millions of views before I even touched the Noah Presgrove case. So Jan had no clue what she was talking about there. Pam had no clue what she was talking about. Jan Fiorillo was the one to falsely talk about Warlight Raff and his BDSM toys and his BDSM practices. And I'm like, well, when's the last time or the first time I mentioned about BDSM in the case? So it sounds like Jan's got her own priorities with that type of action and behaviour. Who knows? And then Pam as well, talking about zoophilia-esque type activity, which is, there's no proof of that. So these individuals are extremely problematic and both have been around the presence of another creator out there for whatever reason. It's just not a good look. And to talk about professionalism or lack of it, and behaviour-wise, just a complete hypocrite. No position to be talking whatsoever based on what I've previously seen and what Pam had to say cowardly, absolutely categorically cowardly in the background on Facebook, couldn't even say it on the channel or the comments section. Really says a lot. And the reason why this is more important here is because it's like the Dylan Rounds case. You get wretched humans over time. They show their true colours towards me, and then they've got the cheek to be two-faced afterwards, go elsewhere, go on Facebook, in the presence of the victim's family, act all kind and caring and formal. Yet I know exactly what they're like and what they are. And that's the awareness that is needed in cases, because that's what's a part of the problem in a covert way, right? It's staring at you, glaring at you in the eyes. It's within sight. It's in the open, but people just can't see it. And those problems need to be highlighted and alleviated. So, for anyone that is watching, anyone watching now in the live chat as a witness, do you remember what Pam Feldman Garrison said about me and my channel? The false claims being made, the erratic language, the incompetence by them alongside partner in crime, Jan Fiorillo. And that does not mean criminal activity. It just is a reference, just a line, right? Before people do get misunderstood, okay? Some people take it too serious. Some people don't even have a funny bone. They probably missed a few bones along the way. Some operations or whatnot. So just once again, no position to be talking. Absolute hypocrite. But besides that, let's go on to what Michael says. See, look, this is what I mean. I'm just talking in general. If someone wants to be a twat and they remain like that all the way through, no problem. It's when people are half and half good, half bad, and they switch and change when it suits them. That's what I can't stand. Now, Michael Fazekas, a day or so afterwards, responded to Ashley Chadwick or so, and he says, I appreciate that people want to engage in discussions surrounding Noah's case and the petition, but I feel it's important to correct a few things that was stated by Ashley Chadwick regarding myself and Jen Zukuda, especially for those who continue to support the pursuit of justice. First and foremost, it is true that Robyn Smith and I exchanged messages in which she expressed private support for the petition, particularly around social hosting laws, whilst suggesting changes to its verbiage. I have always been transparent about this. However, Ashley's interpretation of what those charges entail borders on legally impossible. Robyn did in fact ask me to hold off on any campaign to reignite the petition. At what point, though? At what time? Because we don't have the bloody date. We don't have the bloody time or the year. 2024 or 2025? What month? What date? Why is it that difficult? Why can't it be shown? Yes, one said January 25th or something. Could be 2025, could be 2024. But that's to do with a different conversation thread below. What we're looking at today, and retrospectively, it did not give a time stamp to my knowledge. We can even go back one more time just to be extra careful and sure. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't give a time or date, so we don't know when that was about unless Michael can fill that in. It would help for context, of course. But in terms of holding off on the petition, not wanting to reignite it, it all comes down to when that was mentioned, because obviously ever since the Noah Presgrove project firing up in recent time more so, isn't that going against some of the family's wishes? Because from the looks of it, Ashley Chadwick was outraged, and that KSW7 News with Michael Fazekas and whatnot, outraged there, getting KS to take one of the videos down, so not a good look about that. Does that link, though, to the social hosting again? It kind of ties on in some way. It's kind of like an overall or a new campaign set up, so you could... is that classified as holding off or pushing further? In some ways it sounds like pushing further, but beside that, Michael says, Ashley, given your reported legal education, I would have expected you to understand that charging jurisdiction cannot be moved outside the county in which the alleged crime occurred. Oh no, is this copied and pasted? The legal principle here is basic. A state crime must be charged in the court of original jurisdiction, which is the county where the offence took place, whilst a change of venue may be requested after charges are filed, typically due to concerns like potential jury bias. It has no bearing on where the charges must originate. This is Criminal Law 101. So, if the requested change to the petition is to ask for charges to be filed in a different county, the request is legally void and ultimately undermines the cause, not advances it. I do agree with the call for those responsible for Noah's death to face the harshest legal penalties. However, as much as we wish otherwise, citizens, ourselves included, do not have the authority to dictate sentencing outcomes. Judges and juries are bound by the law and must work within the framework set forth in the state statutes. In this case, social hosting violations carry a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. This was never meant to be the only charge, but rather a strategic entry point, legal foothold to compel more movement in the case and potential cooperation. In terms of steps towards it, I can understand there because it's like the Dylan Rounds case, but it is a time and place and when to pull the trigger to get the best outcome. That does need to be acknowledged. Now, do we have any other stuff here? To clarify further, double jeopardy does not apply here. The legal elements for different charges arising from the same event are distinct, and the fact required to prove them are separate. This is well established in legal precedent and has been repeatedly misunderstood or misrepresented. Now, to address another misconception, none of the people currently involved in supporting justice for Noah, including myself, Michael Fazekas, Jen from the Reddit page, Justin Roy, Alicia Lee or Kaden Pressey became involved solely because the family asked us to. Whilst some may have initially reached out or welcomed help, everyone involved has chosen to be here because they saw red flags being ignored, laws not being applied equally, and serious risk like the statute of limitations running out. These are valid concerns that deserve public attention. Thousands of people recognise this, which is why they signed a petition. Right, and so in some regards, with certain actions displayed, that these key name familiar faces were not asked by family, that they've done it independently, they've taken matters into their own hands. So could any of that be regarded as overpowering, overbearing, taking over a little bit too much? Shouldn't the family have the final say in some way then? Because really, at the end of the day, it's the victim's family that's suffering. It's, to some extent, the party goers onwards that are suffering, and the friends of Noah that are suffering. As for the general public that have never known Noah Presgrove before, but they take matters into their own hand, is that the right thing? Sometimes, yeah, fighting for justice, sometimes fighting for passion, but it can get a bit overpowering at times. It just depends on like the response by people, because, you know, Justin Roy fighting for justice, pushing on, trying to get a good outcome, very passionate, but with that, a bit too much. Family, can you take a step back? Police, take a step back. Justin completely, ignorantly neglects all that and keeps pushing on. Not good. Not good. What else do we have? Everyone has the right to voice their concerns when justice is being mishandled or delayed. No one needs permission to speak up when something looks wrong. That's how accountability works. As we've seen, people in the community can't always take accountability. They pass it on, pass the blame, misdirection elsewhere. Another point that needs to be addressed, however uncomfortable, is the influence of Netflix. Whilst I can acknowledge that having a major production company involved can bring awareness and pressure in certain cases, we also can't ignore the fact that Netflix is a for-profit media company. They need a story that sells, and it's becoming more and more obvious that some recent shifts in behaviour, odd messages, sudden changes in alliances, and conveniently timed audio leaks coincide with the presence or absence of film crews. What, create and stage fake drama to stir things, to make it sound more exciting than what it really is, get more money from Netflix or something, or benefit in attention. See, at the end of the day, when it came to the Dylan Rounds case, and I don't think people may know about this, but Warlike Wrath, myself, I starred in the Paramount Plus documentary of the Dylan Rounds case, in which probably thousands, hundreds of thousands of people watched. I starred in it, but guess what? Was consent given for me to be involved in that documentary? No. Did they edit the words and twist it to make it sound like I was saying other stuff? Absolutely. Did I have to do a response video on YouTube immediately to set the record straight and show the original footage of what I was actually saying? Absolutely. You see how fucked up that is? You see how it twisted me? You see what I have experienced, what I've been on the receiving end of when it does come to these big media groups, these documentaries, these shows being created and then using my content without my consent and twisting and editing the words, editing the actual clips, cutting bits out to make it sound like I'm saying stuff when I'm actually re-quoting it from elsewhere. And other people yap on. They have no clue what I've experienced and beyond. And I'll tell you something else, when it comes to Netflix, somewhat disease-ridden and cancerous, because at the end of the day, when it comes to Netflix and certain documentaries and true crime and serial killers, just exploit it further, push it and push it, push it. Or is it like with the Jeffrey Dahmer situation, and maybe the family didn't really want that, the victims out there and the victim's family didn't want that, but it had to be brought back to light again and, you know, done in some kind of entertainment way. And let's not forget, when it comes to true crime, when it comes to psychology, and like with the class that I attended in the past, but when it comes to people that are in there, oh, they care about the mind, they care about the humans, they care about the body. No, fuck that shit. More focused on looking at the brain, the mind inside it as an object, not as a person. And some will do it in a twisted way, the little fantasies, the true crime community, the TCC, obsessions with serial killers. Hence why some people in the past may have called me the Ted Bundy, because supposedly I'm the reincarnation of Ted Bundy and my crowbar's not far away. But besides that, I have it a bit more under control, unlike some, right? But if I am supposedly Ted Bundy, I've got less mugshots, non-mugshots whatsoever, and yet there's all other kinds of people coming into the bloody true crime cases that I've got bloody mugshots, ferals, felons, and all felines and everything in between. Jesus, what a mess, right? So I've not been on the positive side when it comes to, or positive experiences when it comes to media companies. You had Warner Brothers that tried supposedly reaching out to me, but they tried screwing me in the back and going behind my back. But I made it very clear in regard to the odd family member of the victim or the missing person, say, well, this person's going behind the backs, don't trust him, be careful. And it was somewhat okay in the end, but still very dodgy behaviour by Warner Brothers trying to screw me over. Not a good look, don't appreciate it. But moving on, what do we have here? To be blunt, I believe this documentary is influencing decisions being made about the case in real time, and whilst I know that might sound paranoid to some, the timing and the involvement of certain people who've appeared in other high-profile cases with media deals raise legitimate red flags. Their involvement in Facebook discussions and influence over the narrative in online spaces is noticeable and unsettling. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but if I've learned anything from watching this case unfold, it's that gut instincts about patterns and inconsistencies usually lead somewhere important. Just make sure I've acknowledged it. And below that, Michael says, as for the accusations against Jen Zakuda, let's put this to rest. Jen has never banned any family members from the Reddit page. Well, yeah, we've seen that. She posted the moderation log publicly, which clearly shows that over a year ago, a temporary mute was applied that only limited direct messages to moderators, not access to content or participation. That was the extent of it. But what was the reasoning behind being muted? Was that ever cleared up? Was there a true reason? Was Ashley deserving of being muted then? Moreover, we recently offered to hand over full control at the Reddit platform to Paul Poucher or any other family representative of his choosing. The offer was met with silence, not refusal, just no response. So let's not pretend that access has been withheld or that there's a lack of transparency. We're still open to transferring it to anyone with a neutral family-linked interest. Reddit platform, full control of it. So there's like two Noah Presgrove Reddit pages. You got the review one, and then you've got the original one. I guess we're talking about the original. The purpose here and in the other groups have always been the same: to move forward or towards justice in a lawful, fact-based and strategic manner. None of us are above critique, but accusations should be rooted in truth and legal suggestions should at least be grounded in legal reality. And that's it, the screenshots there. So of course, with over time, what likely can happen is humans in general can choose when to be formal, when to be informal, when to appear to do better, and other times be completely reckless and incompetent. People like morphing and shape-shifting with time, and like with viewers as well. You're gonna be very careful, okay? So there's all kinds of stuff going on here and there and in the background. To put it best, arguably speaking, in terms of the case community, it is categorically an all-time low, an all-time worst. It's the worst it's ever been, okay? But has anything changed here? No, all under control here. Some viewers may not have it under control, but one does, okay? So besides all of that, hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. If you want to hit the thumbs up, share the video, that'd be much appreciated. If there needs to be a follow-up to this, then it can be done so. It is interesting to see some of Noah's family speak up here and there, but what we do need to acknowledge in fairness, it's Ashley doing the talking and speaking on behalf at times of others like Robyn Smith. It would be nice to hear it from the horse's mouths more often. It's like the equivalent of Alicia doing all the talking, speaking on behalf of Caden. It'd be better to hear it from what Caden says, just for that rawness, the originality, the horse's mouth, more natural, more genuine, and so on. Just a little comparison, that's all. Who knows what will come from this? I'm sure some people won't be too pleased, but along the way I've got to make my references, got to remember the previous humans, the problematic people and whatnot, and we'll add on to that probably tomorrow when really weigh in on the supposed drama, the supposed complaints, the supposed this and that, and ultimately reveal why it's going on, how people can be better off and the simplicity behind it all, whether you're a creator or more so a viewer. It's easy to manage and control, but it depends if people are willing to follow through with it. My name's Raf. Join me next time. Be on the lookout for that video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.